My name is Cynthia Cherotich.
Jina ni Mary Silma. Valentine Emali.
Jane Bakasa.
My name is Jane Wegesa Fraser, from Kenya, Kitale town, Trans Nzoia County. Right now we are doing a program here that is funded by Flow Fund, Regenerative, and we are training farmers on regenerative agriculture, permaculture design, creating food, forest and kitchen gardens.
My name is Rosemary Wekesa. I am a farmer and a Quaker by faith. Permaculture team has come to visit my farm and asked me to provide a demo plot of quarter an acre to make it their demonstration plot to introduce other farmers to permaculture farming.
My name is Alice Mwangi. I train in agroecology and permaculture. I'm very passionate about these things because I think that's the future of agriculture, that it needs to be ecologically sound and economically efficient and socially acceptable and culturally right. So that's why I advocate for agroecology, and permaculture is very much more uses also ecological principles. So these two, to me, they look like they are the same, but maybe just the use of different words. Yeah, and I also practice the same. What I preach and what I train, I practice in my own garden. I have hillside organic garden where I do the research that I need to do to learn, to expand my experience and the understanding of things, different elements, things like soil, understanding of water management, understanding of fertility management in an ecological way, understanding of just growing in layers and organizing the garden and planning of and designing of gardens in an ecological way.
This community here in Bungoma, actually, they are farmers, but they are focused on just maize and beans most of the time, and a little bit of they have like coffee gardens and banana, but they are not designed in a way that it's easy for them to get a yield, to obtain a yield from all these things in a sufficient way. So we are bringing in a design which is a permaculture design, where we are designing this garden in a way where we embrace all the ecological zones, where we have all the ecological zones embraced by the community, learning about them and knowing how they can place them on their land, and that is going to help them obtain a better yield than what they are doing right now. So I have young mothers from Kitale, and I have older ladies from Bungoma, this county, and we are creating a demonstration garden at my mom's farm. This demonstration garden is coming in to help the community understand about regenerative farming, knowing how to create different kinds of beds and layering and improving the soils, and just making this garden a vibrant, edible garden.
Usually the reception is, a lot of people are surprised that you can do agriculture in a different way. That tells me in most cases that people just practice the agriculture they practice because they don't know any other way, and they don't know the effect the kind of agriculture they do has on the environment. They don't know how much it affects their health. They don't understand how much potential they don't utilize by the kind of agriculture they use, and how much they lose because of not growing in diversity, for example, how much they lose because of spending on inputs that are very expensive and having to use those inputs every year more and more. They don't understand those things. They also haven't known the kind of effect use of pesticides and use of herbicides that they commonly use, especially in places like Italy, has on their health. So they kind of get surprised. So they are eager to know and learn. But the transition is slow because we can only reach so far. Like now we only had like 15-20 people. So you're imagining it's a whole region of millions and thousands of people before, or farmers that you can, before you reach to all those farmers, it may take time. But as many as we can, as many as it's humanly possible, financially possible, we will reach and tell them these things.
This program is also the young mothers that have come from Kitale are learning about container gardening. They live in apartments where they don't have enough spaces for land. So what we are doing is that we are training them to build soils even in containers so that they can produce food instead of like vegetables, instead of just buying everything in town. You know, they have to spend, we did calculation, like every day you're spending about 20 on onions, 20 on tomatoes, you have skuma wiki or cabbage, and all these things you can plant them in your garden. However small they are, but they will sustain you for a week or two without really spending that money on buying these things. So we are bringing them available. We are going to provide containers, and we are going to teach them how to build fertile soils in containers and build container gardens around their houses where they live.
It usually makes them eat less diverse kind of foods, less healthy foods, because when they have to spend, they usually don't have enough to spend for everything they need. They don't have variety in their diet because they just buy a certain type of vegetable that they find affordable, and they don't have many other vegetables. They don't have beetroots in their diet. They don't have varieties. You find that even if they're cooking vegetables, it's just maybe one or two varieties, simply because the amount of money they have to spend, they have to budget it, and it's never enough.
They have a circle that they are trying to save money so that they can run a business as young mothers, and this is going to enable them save more because they don't have to spend money unnecessarily on things they can grow. So they are learning a lot, and we just want to thank Regenerosity and the way they have embraced us, this community and the Kitale community, in regards to enabling them understand about regenerative lifestyle and livelihoods. And this is actually going to improve a lot of people's mindset, like changing their mindset to know how to live a sustainable life.
Hapo nyuma nilikuwa nikilima na shirika la One Acre Fund yenye ilikuwa tunatuletea mbolea na seed. And even recently I've changed to farming of permaculture, which doesn't want to plant with the fertilizers from ya kununua kutoka kwa duka. And so I realized that it is not as expensive as I've been using a fertilizer.
So we hope in future that there will be more and more donors and people willing to grant this kind of trainings so that more and more farmers can be trained, because basically if we were to charge farmers themselves money, they may not afford. We know that they cannot afford, and so they may not respond if we call for a training and we say pay this amount of money, pay this amount of money. Farmers may not come.
The difference is it has helped me to cut off expenditures, money that I've been putting in fertilizer. I will not continue to bank my money in such things. And now that I'm introduced to compost manure, I will concentrate on making my own manure for my farm, and I'll be using that, which I don't go to the shop to buy. It will just come from my farming of dairy work and compost. And so I realized I had spent so much money doing the farming, the other farming, which I will not spend anymore.
Multinationals push a lot of fertilizer in our face. Like, there's nothing else you can campaign in this country apart from, without putting the word fertilizer. So it's become like, without fertilizer, there is nothing else a politician can talk about. Like, I'm going to subsidize your fertilizer. I'm going to give you free fertilizer. I'm going to, give you hybrid maize, and so they think for somebody to embrace them, they need to give them free fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer, so that these people, because they depend on these fertilizers to grow food, they think these politicians are going to help them. But this actually, fertilizers have come to actually ruin our farms. Now we are going regeneratively so that they don't have to be lied to about fertilizers. They can make choices that are sober, I may say. So they don't need the fertilizer to grow food. They need natural, building the soils and use natural, organic manure, and also we have natural fertilizers, not really like biofertilizers that we use in farms, mixture of herbs, and then you produce those and you can use them in the farms. And those are good for your crops. They don't have diseases, they can't poison your soils, they can't poison your foods, and so much diseases are going around because of those things. So we want to embrace regenerative farming, organic, natural, so that we can have a healthy soil, healthy bodies, healthy mind, and a healthy environment.
It's so important what we are doing. We feel it's contribute not just to this generation, but to the future generation, because as things move with the climate change, this is climate adaptive agriculture that we are trying to train them with the climate change. They are going to be able to do better agriculture. With the future generation, we're going to leave them better land rather than worse land than we found. We're going to leave a country better. It will improve economically, because our children and their children will not find a worse place than they would. They would have found it if we did not do anything. But if we do this kind of agriculture, this agriculture takes care of the soil, make sure the soil is kept improving rather than degrading. It takes care of the cultural systems that we have had as Africans, because it helps us get our own indigenous food, grow our own seeds. We don't have to spend a lot of money buying seeds that are imported. It helps our economy, it helps our culture, it helps also our health.
In our program, we are thinking that if we cannot produce, we cannot increase ecological capital and increase economical capital and increase social capital and increase and inspire others, then we are not doing anything substantial. So I would love that right now, what we are doing, we are gathering together as a community, older ladies and young mothers, to come together so that these young mothers can learn from the older ladies, and these older ladies can teach these young mothers, inspiring them to move into the future with a mindset of having an independent, self-sufficient life.
So we are here as there are young women, young mothers, and older women also. We are all learning, and it's been an experience. This is really nice, even for those of us who don't have land yet. We know soon we will get land, and we know exactly how to use our portions when we get it, and we are really grateful. I've learned that kwa ukulima lazima upractice healthy farming, ndio pia mwili yako ikuwe healthy. You have to keep the soil healthy so that you can produce healthy crops and you consume healthy things so that you can be healthy and live long.
My name is Melody Edwards. and I am a teacher of children, and I have a lot of children, and I've been trying to do a lot of eco projects with children. I get challenges where sometimes things don't grow. So when this project came up, I found this a good opportunity for me to come and learn. And I just learned that we're supposed to use healthy soil. So probably maybe I didn't know how to differentiate or how to figure that out, but now I've gotten a lot of knowledge on just how plants grow and what kind of soil to use, and the process, the whole learning process, which I find very
This permaculture has reset me back to where I was still a young kid to my parents, and also at my early childhood. When I got married, we were not using a manure, fertilizers. But now with permaculture, they want to take us back to where we were without using those fertilizers. We want to use our own make fertilizers, as our parents used to do.
So we reduce on the budgets of going to hospital, people getting sick all the time, and not able to utilize their resources even to treat themselves. Because when we teach this kind of agriculture, we also bring in the issue of medicinal herbs and things that people can use, and people have been using in their old culture, but maybe it's been lost. We bring in all those issues so that our communities have what we call resilience. They are able to stand hard times because they can grow their own seeds. They can produce their own medicine. They can produce their food. Their food becomes medicine because it's variety. They have what they need, and the extra they can sell. They also have something they can sell, because sometimes even this kind of agriculture, there's always over something that does well and produces well, they can sell. So we are not taking them out of commercial farming totally. We are just making it better for them and more use for them.
We are trying to inspire them to grow into a culture where they can know how to farm and live a sustainable life, have a sustainable livelihood. So that's why we are embracing. It's an income generation activity. It's an ecological increase opportunity which we are embracing good practices, smart agriculture, and we are also inspiring the youth to come up into the stages where they can also inspire others in the future.
My mother-in-law has a big piece of land. She's a serious farmer, but I think I'm going to tell her, I'll educate her what I've learned. I'm going to tell her, even made a call and tell her, Mom, I'll come and teach you what I've learned.
Tumeweza kuwa hapa ili kuweza kujifunza mbinu za kupanda mboga, kupanda vyakula, tusipotumia mbolea, tunatumia hizi microorganism, mbolea za kuku, ng'ombe, bila kutumia zile za duka DAP. So tumeweza kufundishwa, na kama unavyoona hapa nyuma we are putting it in practice. Huko tulikuwa kwa essay tumesoma, so we are practicing kwa ground. Tuone jinsi tunaweza fanya, tunapanda. Already jana tulifanya 2. Today we are targeting almost 6 or 4. Ili tuweze kupanda mboga. Healthy food, healthy life, a healthy nation.
I've been in communities that I see fallow land. I see fallow land, and I just look at it and say, well, this can turn into productive land if only you know how to do it. So I'm looking at, why are our children not understanding about how to create livelihood in a smarter way that can produce more for them, and just get stuck in like towns and not embrace anything outside their apartments. Like their children will not know that even beans are grown in the farm. Probably they'll just think all they see is pavement and pavement and pavement and walls and pavement. But right now, when you bring young mothers out, they have their children, And they come out and their children play in the mud and they see crops and they see doo-doo, I mean like small insects, and that's what created us. That's what created us, who we are today. I mean, we played in the dirt and we learned a lot and we enjoyed that life. But why are these young children right now don't know anything about outside? I mean, like, are we going to get stuck into apartments and into cement and walls and pavements? What I'm looking at is how do we transition the future children to understand about creating livelihood out here in farms other than just buying everything. How do we create that mindset in these young people? And that's why we are coming together to bring the older ladies with the young mothers so that they can see and learn together. And the young can learn from the old, and the old can teach the young. Just indigenous knowledge transfer and share.